Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Clock. At the moment, the light's on it, which you won't be able to see because it's too sunny. Yeah, can't see. Orange standard, and same with the heat controls. Now I've got plans to change the colours of both. Got both of them, which I'll show you in a minute. And hopefully, I've got some surface mount LEDs for this. And I'm going to go for red. Reason being is because, well, I think red's the best colour. Not because it looks the best, but red light doesn't dazzle you. You know, if you look at red and then look into the dark, it doesn't cause your pupils to close up the same as other colours, which is why you'll see red light in the back of, you know, military helicopters in films and shit like that. Anyway, I'm going to go for red. Not really for that reason, just because, well, just because I fancied doing red, but that is one of the reasons. Anyway, so to start, we need to take the clock out. And there's two screws, one on each side. So you turn the steering wheel to that sort of angle where you're going to crash if you move, you'll crash into that wall. And take the screws out. And then you do the same the other way. You don't need to see that. So this is what we're going to fit to the heater controls. Now, they do LED versions, but I've gone for conventional bulbs, T5 bulbs, something like that. Because, well, the LED ones can cause the fuses to go in your side light circuits and what have you. And these are hopefully what I'm going to use in the clock. Just surface mount LEDs. CPC number and what have you. Order code, don't know. Anyway. We'll see if they're the right ones when I take it apart. And then when they're not, then it'll just end up still being orange, won't it? Anyway, let's go and take the shitter out. So, both the screws taken out. And then, we can just pull this off. Whole thing just comes off. Hold on, let's get some focus going on. It's nice, lovingly painted from another video. There we go. Right, so that's that off. And then we need some 10mm. So I'll go get a socket. Right, so there's our clock. There's a bolt holding it on. And we've got a socket driver. Fucking radio, shut up. Right, let's take this out. And they shouldn't be very tight because they're only clamping plastic. So take both of these out, and then I think the clock does come off. And if you're ever looking for the fuses on these, a lot of them are there and there. Just in case that's of any interest to anybody. In case anything of this video is to any interest to anybody. So there's one bolt out, and I'll take the other one out. Right, so we're 4 screws deep now, and the clock isn't coming off. There we go. And then obviously we need to unplug all them, which, well, as you can see, there's quite a few. They're all on like tabs. So you squeeze, see if I can get that so you can see it. See that one there? Little tab, squeeze and pull. Yeah, left-handed. Yeah, that's not coming out too easy. Anyway, you get the picture. You've got to squeeze the tabs and pull the plugs out. Now there is quite a few plugs to unplug, as you can see. And the reason for that is because this is also, well, it's also a fuse box. So, let's go and take it apart. Now my suspicions are, might be wrong here, but if I take these little clips out here, see all the way around it, and remove the clock itself from the fuse box. Yes. Yeah, so anyway, I've taken that off, and now does this slide out of here? That's the question. Probably not. No, something that I would advise is be more careful than I was, because I broke that off. And another one of them off, but well. Right, so none of that worked to take it apart, and it seems but you've got to take it apart from the front. So you have to pull this needle off, which is not coming off. So as you might notice, I have moved location, and that is because, well, the space I was using was needed for more important tasks. Anyway, let's get this needle off. This needle is not just going to pull off. Well, I've tried pulling it off and it's not. Now the motor, I'm going to try twisting it against the motor stop. So if I twist it backwards a little bit, and then pull it, and we'll go other way, and at the same time as you hit the motor stop, I'm saying this like I've done it before, I haven't. It needs twisting, so yes, well it works. Right, so needle's off, and then put it down in a nice safe place on the concrete floor. This should now pull off, I think. Should it? As you can tell, this is very professional as ever. Right, that's pulling off. Fuck. Yeah. Twist and pull. And then the front, that comes off, and then now there's little tabs holding that on there as well. You can see that little tab. So once I pulled this off, then I can get to some screws. So I need something to get in there because my fingers are well too fat. So before we go any further, what we can see is most of these resistors are actually, not resistors, fucking LEDs, which you can see are actually lining up to, you know, main beam and stuff like that. The only one on here that isn't, which is for the lighting, from what I can see, is that one which lights the needle up. So anyway, let's go and take this thing off. Struggle with one hand as usual, rather than putting my tripod down on a concrete floor. Completely the wrong thing to do it. Let's put this shitter down. Right, you can see what I'm doing, can't you? Can you? I watch myself through my phone screen and then I know that you can see what I'm doing. And as I fuck it up, we can watch it together. I'll take them Phillips out now. And now I've got this far, I've realised that the LEDs I've got are actually completely wrong. So we'll try and make, or try and get some of these, or make something else fit. Right, so I haven't got the right LEDs, which was always probably likely to happen, but what I want to make sure is that there's not a bias resistor on these LEDs, and which way around they are. That's not coming on. So I've got my meter on resistance. So, hold on, swap hands. And hopefully it'll light up, which it does. So now, the LEDs that I'm going to use, not ideal, because I ain't got the right ones, but I'm not waiting for the right ones, I want to put these in. Yes. And the same thing again, you put the meter on it and it should light up, but about the same sort of brightness. Hold on. Might have it backwards though, yeah, I've got it backwards. Because it's a diode, clues in the name, all one way around. I don't know if you can see that, but it is lighting up. And it is nice and dull, so it's about the same sort of level. So, before I carry on now, I need to take this off. Take these screws out. And then once this is off, I think it's just them 3 screws. Can't see one there, that might need to come out, not sure. I'll take them out and see where that leaves us. Right, so we've got them screws out, and then we need to pull this off. And I want to take all this out as one. You can't really see it there, but all the way around it needs to be levered out nice and straight, carefully like this, you see. As you can see, nice and lovingly and gingerly. Ginger pubes. And the chances are, is I suspect that this has got a plug behind it holding it in. But it is coming, so either I'm breaking something or it's coming apart the way it's supposed to. Yeah, it's coming out, it feels right. Feels good. Nice and tight as well. Yes. So either something just broke or it's come apart right. Yeah. Thought it might have. So now, do away with that over there. And now we want to take this plastic shitter off, which is just held on with some little clips by the looks of it. I hope so anyway. Yeah, there's clips all the way around it. And it looks like there's some sort of... Oh, that's fucking old, isn't it? Hold on. This screen here is connected. Now, I'm hoping that that's on a plug. As if not, then we're going to break something. Looks like we're going to break something. I'll look at that more carefully and then I'll come back. Right, this is where it gets a bit interesting. I was expecting this to be on a plug, and it's not. So I've got to desolder this. Now, normally I'd use solder wick for that, which I haven't got. So, solder sucker on that. It's going to be a pain in the dick, but that's the options I've got. So, just wait for this to warm up. Is it hot yet? Yeah, it's getting there. Yes. Right, see what happens. See this disaster. Now this is going to be quite tedious, so that's one done. As you can see there, zoom in, that solder's been removed. I'll have to solder it back in afterwards, but I'll do all them and then I'll take the front off.
Did a fella come in yesterday for a service kit for a...
Right, so I've used a solder sucker and I've got off all the solder that I can with that, but it is bound to be still connected at certain places because there's going to be bits of solder left. So now, I don't know if you can see this, this is a bit of a pain in the arse. I've got to push it through bit by bit. Yes. And just work it, because it's still got a joint on it basically. Can't see what I'm doing. Now this isn't, like I said, this isn't the best way of doing this. I haven't got the right tools here, which I normally would have, but I haven't today. So, this is the method that I'm using. Don't use this method, it's pretty dumb. Basically, I need to warm them up, make sure they're not connected, and centralise them before I try and remove it. Which... and make sure they're loose, and then don't let them ping back. So that one's now loose, because it springs against the side. Let it cool down. That one should be loose. When I've done that for every single one, it should come off. Right, so after struggling and fucking about a little bit because of not using the right tools just for a change, these should now be loose. And what I've done with it is, while it was hot, just wiggled the pin while it cools down. So I warmed it up and wiggled the pin while it cools down, and they're all loose now. So we'll go for taking it apart, which I'm hoping what, yes, success. Right, LEDs now. The ones that we've got to change is that one, that one, that one, and that one. And I think that's it. That looks like that's it. So, before I do anything, like I say, I ain't got the right LEDs. I'm going to bodge some on it, just because. And sort of measure which way around they go. So let's do that. Right, so testing polarity. So, meter is on ohms, and what I'm going to do is now there is something about these meters when you, yes, it's not doing anything. Hold on, I've got it on the wrong setting. What a dick. Right, let's try it again. Now this one did light up before, so it should light up. Yes. Right, so what I'm going to do is, there is a way with these meters that when you test an LED with a meter, it's backwards, but I can't remember the rule. So I'm just using, well, I said common sense, and I'm marking on which side I'm putting the black on the meter to, and then when I mount the new ones, I'll just do it the same way. So that's that side. And I'll do the same for these other ones, which that's the same way. Black. And then that black down here. And then last one. Of course, every single one that I've tested, yeah, that's that way, is the opposite way to which way I've put the thing on at first. So there we are, we marked up. Now let's take them off. Right, so now we're on with these ones, which I need to take off. So these are surface mount, and as I've already said a couple of times, probably need a bit of solder on that to get a bit of heat conductivity and all that shit. Anyway, as I've said a few times, these are the wrong LEDs what I'm using, and soldering iron tips all filthy and shitted up, but fuck it. So I need to remove this one, which is a surface mount, and the ones I'm using aren't surface mount, but I mean solder will stick them on. I'll just have to position them so they work. Now this, once again, will be much easier with solder wick. Is the fucking soldering iron turned off? Just clean it. And you've got to be careful with this because you can damage the board, but that's lifted on that side. For these, sometimes you can use like a heat gun as well, but I ain't got one of them either at the moment. Right, so that's one of them off. And now when I put the new one on, right, now this one behind the display should be the easiest one to do, because I can't see anything, can you? Hold on. Try and do this in a way which is visible to the multiple audiences, 4 people, but now it's just getting stuck in my glove. And then go burn my finger. Yes. Bring the soldering iron around the other side a bit. Right, so that's one on. Like I said, this is the easiest one because there's more room for it. So I'll just point it downwards a little bit, bend it against the board because there's more room for this one. And then I'll try and make sure it lights up the same way around as what I had the other. So if you remember, the black was on this side. Yes. Great success. That's a thumbs up. Anyway, now I'll do other ones, which I'm going to have to cut shorter so that they point outwards, which is going to be a bit of a nightmare. I don't think I'm going to be able to film that, but you probably don't need to see that because you've probably bought the right LEDs and you're not as thick as me. So I'll do that, and then I'll show what it looks like when I've done that. Right, I will try and show the way I'm going to try and do this with at least one of them, but because it goes through a hole, the plan is to have it pointing directly upwards, and hopefully it'll fit through the hole like that. Now the light output will probably be in the wrong direction and all that lot, but I'm going to carry on anyway, do the rest of them. Right, so now all our LEDs are connected and hopefully they're all working. That one's not working. Meter's turned off. Won't work with the meter turned off. Meter's still turned off. Why won't it turn back on? Right. Yes. Hey, look, they're linked together, look. I have to put this one on. Yes. Why is this one not coming on? Well, it's working. Must be on a different circuit. So now, we can hopefully put this back on and hopefully it'll fit. So we see the LEDs are going through that little gap there. We need to line these pins up. To line all them pins up so that goes back through. And then once we resolder that, there we go. So I'll just put a quick solder on there. And then the same all the way along it. And just make sure the solder doesn't join them together, because that's not how it's meant to be, is it? And focus. That is now all soldered back on. LEDs are soldered on. And now that bit is effectively back together. The button's working. So put the shitter back together. And to do that, well, it's the opposite of how it come apart, isn't it? So we'll push this back into here. I think that's the last thing I did, was take that out of there, wasn't it? I think it was. If it's not, then I'll have to take it back out again, but I think that was the last thing I did, wasn't it? Put these screws back in. Now, what I'm expecting here is, if it works at all, when it's back together, I'm expecting these LEDs, a light to give out. I'm expecting it to have dots on the dash, to be honest with you. But it'll do, won't it? Right, I'll tighten all these screws up, because this screwdriver I've got doesn't really fit very well, but hopefully everything working when it's back together. Right, so that's that. And put this in. I mean, you could clean all this first, but fuck it. Yes! This is pretty good. This is quite a good fuck up, this. Right, you see how that goes in there? Well, this is meant to disperse the light, and because I've used these LEDs, these stems here, get it in shot, they're meant to dissipate the light and disperse it through this nice and evenly. So you know I said about having hot spots on it? That's what it's going to have. I'll have to cut them off. Now this is probably the complete wrong tool, and I should probably use a Dremel or something, but that'd mean going getting a Dremel, and this might just snap in half. Oh, it didn't. How boring. See if it goes in now. Might still need more coming off that. Yeah, it's still too fat. Yes. Might need a grinder. Okay, so we're nice and subtly get rid of these a little bit more. Reckon that'll be enough. Right, so we've used our grinder app, and we get like I said, we've ground them down, so hopefully now it will go back together. Yes. Look at that. Factory fit job. And now it's just a case. Like I say, you could clean all this off when you're doing it, but mine's going to have fingerprints and all sorts on it because I can't be bothered. So put that on there. Bits of grass in it and everything. This, can you see what I'm doing? I'm filming nothing. That goes in there and then turns back into its designated orientation. And then now we need to put this needle back on. It needs to be, yes. Right. When it's at the stop, we need to put it in the same place as where it was before. So if we push it on, then turn it backwards. Right, when it's relaxed, it wants to be on. Unless I flick it, I mean, it wants to be on third on it. Unless I flick it round and then the car can say I'm going faster than what I am. Get a higher maximum speed out of it. Yeah, thinking. Right, so that's that back together. And then now we just want to push this shitter back on. Unless I've forgotten anything, because there is a chance of that because, well, because I've got loads of stuff to do and I'm choosing to do this instead. No, I'm at work and I should be doing work really, but I'm doing more important stuff. Now unfortunately, like I said, I brought these tabs off when I ripped it apart because I Neanderthaled the fucker, didn't I? But if you're doing yours, there's these little plastic clips on there. Now fortunately it's held on with other ones, so it's not, well, it is a bit loose, but I'm not changing that, fuck it. So now let's put it back in the car, and there's our old LEDs, by the way. And when we put it back in the car, we've also got our bulbs to fit. Like I said, bulbs instead of LEDs because we don't want to be changing fuses all fucking time. So, as you can see, it's taken a while and we've got some growth since we started. Right, back to putting it in car. Which is a reversal of removing it, as you'd expect. So, we have all these plugs, loads of plugs to plug in. And I'll do a couple, and then, well, the plugs I'm hoping will just plug in where they belong. It keeps on falling off when I'm trying to do it, but yeah, they just push in, all of them. Look, push in, yeah, push in, that looks like it goes there maybe, don't know, will it fit? Yeah, and then you do that for all 97 plugs, like that. And before that we put all this back together and mount it properly, I should probably check that it works, shouldn't I? So let's try and see if it works. Yes. Hey, look, even that still works. Wipers are going. So I don't know if I'll be able to see. Oh, it lights up red, and it's got dots in it like I thought it would. Look. Yes. And I don't think that one's working. Anyway, let's see what that looks like at night time. Let's put it back together. Right, so putting the clock back on. You don't just push this on, there's actually grooves. There's actually grooves there, so you've got to put it above there and slide it down into place. As you can see, it works really well. Right, and then we put these 10mm back in, sort of self-explanatory. And once you have fitted and tightened both of those, then obviously we're going to put that shitter back on, which, once again, we've took it off so we can sort of see how it goes back on. And yes, it's not working, just dropping foams and stuff. There we go. So once it's together in matrimony and all that lot, then we put the screws back in. Once again, a little bit self-explanatory. And the same for the other side. Yeah. And then when we've done that, we have changed the LEDs. Now, we're halfway there. Well, more than halfway. As you can see. I mean, they are lighting up. It looks like that one's seems to be brighter than the rest, or that one's not working. I suspect it is working because I put it in, so I would hope it's working. Because I'm just so skillful and I never do anything wrong, apart from usually. Anyway, next thing we're going to do is, for about the 100th time, I'm taking this shitter off because we're changing the colour of this as well. So, as has been depicted many times in other videos that I've done, we have to carefully remove this knob to take this off. And then we get a Phillips screwdriver. And then, obviously we remove that. Like I said, I've done this a few times actually. I did it when I did the radio, I did it when I did other stuff, what else, yank the shitter out. The fucking blue things always seem to end up and turn your hazards on. These always fall out, so these won't put him back on there. But to change the bulbs, they are in this bit, which I'll come back to in a second. Right, so the bulbs in here, to change them, it looks like that we just pull this shitter out. Which doesn't seem to be coming out, but it looks like the whole thing should come out. If you squeeze these tabs here, squeeze these tabs one on each side. It's like me, I don't rear view mirror. Yeah, we squeeze them and then pull. It looks like they should pull out. But it might not. I'm going to try doing that without holding the phone. Yeah, so that doesn't seem to be coming out the way that I planned, so I'm just going to take screws out until it does come apart. So at the moment I'm taking these two out, one on each side. And then we'll just pull stuff. Now that sounded great. It sounded like something fell down inside the dash. Yes. That should come out of there, surely. Right, so I'm looking at it properly. I've been doing it wrong. Usually stuff like that, you just squeeze tabs and stuff. Anyway, on this one, for some reason, don't know if you can see this, but down there and across the top, right, there is little clips that are holding it in. So I need to flick them off and put a little bit of force on it with that at the same time. There we go. Now that I thought would be a 2-minute job, and it was a pain in the fucking arse. Anyway, now, as you can see, that's where our bulbs go. So, little capless orange bulbs, which I want to swap for little capless red bulbs. So I'll put them in, make sure they work, and put it back together. One in, and another one in. And because the bulbs, oh look, they work. Doesn't matter which way around they go, not polarised like LEDs. So, let's push this back in. And then, hopefully it'll go in better than get them out. Got a load of stupid wires in the way. Anyway. Yes. Right, so make sure them tabs go in properly. And on the bottom. Right. And then put it back together. And the first step to reassembly is to reinstall the screws that you unnecessarily removed in the first place. So put them back in. And then, as with probably 50 times already, put the radio back in. Which, just make sure all the wires sort of fold in behind, because there's fucking loads of wires everywhere. You might not have as many wires as me, because you might not have fucked about with it, but you probably have. So, clip all that in. Yeah, sort of. Fuck off, get in. Ah, close enough. Right, and then we'll put the screw back in. And when I fitted this radio, I don't know if anyone watched it, but I had to cut part of the dash away, which mounts the dash, because the radio wouldn't fit around it. And I thought, oh, it won't make any difference. It's got loads of bolts holding dash in. Then I drove down a cobbled road, and it made a difference. So, yeah, that's still connected. Turn the lights on. Yes! Nice and vibrant, nice and dazzling. Right, so we have red there, and we do actually have red there as well. Let's see what it looks like in dark first anyway, but that is it for now. Well, for now, for 5 seconds on the video editing. So So now it's night time and the moment of truth. The bit I've been waiting all day for. Yes! So, it's red. It's a bit on the dull side. And then that is a bit on the bright side. So, well, the Speedo, actually I'm looking at it through the phone screen and I can pretty much not see it, but looking at it in real life, it's not actually as bad as it looks on camera. It's more like, same as BMW with it on the lowest setting. You know, it's like that, but you can't turn it up or down. I don't know how to turn it up or down. I don't think you can turn it up or down. Probably will change them for the right LEDs at some point, but I won't make another video. This one just shows how to actually do it. The fact it didn't turn out as planned is because I didn't get the right LEDs, which has been apparent from when I took it apart and didn't have the right LEDs. But being impatient, obviously, I've just fitted the wrong ones. Anyway, they're all working. I mean, that, like I said, in real life I can see that quite well, but it's not picking up on this. That LED's brighter than the others, but the rest of them, like the needle, isn't as bright, and you know, it looks like that one LED, there was 1, 2, 3, there were 4, weren't there? And it looks like the one up there is brighter than the rest of them, but the other ones are on. So, anyway, like I said, if you're gonna do this, you know, get the right LEDs and probably get duller bulbs for there, because they're probably a bit on the bright side. I mean, they're not too bad, but they're probably a bit on the bright side. But yeah, get the right LEDs for the clock, do the same thing. It'll actually be easier if you use the right LEDs. I'd recommend getting some solder wick as well to desolder that shit to there when you're taking it apart, because it's fucking, why won't it focus this? Have I got a fingerprint on my screen or something? On my camera lens, just a sec, see if it makes it any better. Is that any better? Maybe a bit. No, I'm not re-recording it anyway. So yeah, as I said, that's how to change the LEDs in the clock. Hard way of doing it for probably not the best result, but yeah, can be done better. So anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Like I said, tell me what I've done wrong. I know what I've done wrong. It's quite obvious what I've done wrong. Follow us on Instagram as well. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. But mainly subscribe, because, well, I ain't got enough subscribers really, have I? Anyway, peace out, and I'll see you next time, brah.